Peace, family, power, and of course, prosperity. This is ordained metaphysical minister Corbin reporting live. As the sun sets, I have an amazing presentation for you. Remember, always remember, when you step inside the Cosmic Christ University, there are teachers, students, masters. We are all here to increase the divine gnosis, knowledge within each of us. This presentation is going to pick up where Romans 12:2 in the Bible left off. I don't care if you're a spiritual person or a religious person, you're going to need to hear this presentation as we now enter the Aquarian age. We're in the quantum world now. So your mind, the way you think, is going to determine a lot in your life. So without holding too much time, I want to dive right in. Welcome to the Cosmic Christ University. I am ordained metaphysical minister Corbin. You are my family, my brothers and sisters. This is gnosis and knowledge that's going to increase your spirituality. You ready? I don't want to waste too much time today. Let's go in. This is about the progression of the human consciousness. Remember, the one they call Jesus or Yeshua, 2,000 years ago, was sincerely trying to raise the consciousness of the people 2,000 years ago. 2,000 years later, we are the ones that's going to benefit from what the Christ was doing 2,000 years ago. Are you ready? If I have to, I'll take my LL Cool shades off. But for now, the sun is providing me enough light. Remember, the theme of this presentation, you're going to see what the title is before I do. But the theme of this is picking up where Romans chapter 12:2 in the Bible leaves off, which is, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So this is going to be the theme of this. This is the minister theme to this presentation. Are you ready? This is my gift to you and Christ's gift to you, my brothers and sisters. Let's go. Consciousness appears to unfold and progress in humanity as our evolutionary development prepares us physically to receive and express higher levels of your energy. I'm going to read that one more time and I'm going to go in. You are receiving spiritual gifts. Please wake up and receive your spiritual gifts. Let's go back in. Consciousness appears to unfold and progress in humanity as our evolutionary development prepares us physically to receive and express higher levels of your energy. As each new level emerges within us, over time, it replaces the existing level incrementally. For this to take place, we must enter a process through which our old ways of thinking, feeling, and believing undergo a transformation. Now remember, as an ordained minister, my mission, my obligation is to give you the mystic, to give you the esoteric version of what Christ was really saying. Unfortunately, Orthodox churches cannot do that. Orthodox theologians cannot do that. But as a metaphysician, this is where I thrive in. And this is where we all thrive in. Metaphysical, mystic teachings. Let's keep on going. As each new level emerges within us, over time it replaces the existing level incrementally. For this to take place, we must enter a process through which our old ways of thinking, family, feeling, and believing undergo a transformation. Once again, Romans chapter 12, verse 2. By gradually breaking down existing nervous systems, patterning, and sensory perception, we are prepared to transition into the next level and cycle of evolutionary development. This is what the Christ University is all about. This is what the Cosmic Christ University is all about. We are excelling and preparing you and the next generation, so they don't know they are not. So they know now that they are not bound and not held back by religion. They are freedom spiritual beings now. You are giving the truth of who you are and giving them the process of what you have to do and the steps to break down your old ways of thinking. Now, as a minister, as a teacher, I'm going to break this down again. I don't have a problem breaking this down again so you can understand this as my brothers and sisters in Christ. So let's read that part again. Let's read the whole thing again. consciousness appears to unfold and progress in humanity as our evolutionary development prepares us physically to receive and express higher levels of your energy. As each new level emerges within us, over time it replaces the existing level incrementally. For this to take place, we must enter a process through which our old ways of thinking, feeling, and believing undergo a transformation. By gradually breaking down existing nervous systems, patterning, and sensory perception, we are prepared to transition into the next level and cycle of evolutionary development. When discussing human consciousness, the author says, I am referring to the development levels of spiritual awakening that enables us to connect our physical life directly with our higher purpose and divine essence. Conventionally, consciousness usually relates to our self-consciousness or the degree to which we are aware of our own thoughts. I want to read this again because you are my brothers and sisters. Don't ever think you're alone. Christ is always with you. Always know that. Let's read that again. Conventionally, conscious usually relates to our self-consciousness or the degree to which we are aware of our own thoughts and feelings as well as the world around us. However, our present material orientation and focus limits our conscious awareness to only what is physically detectable. Now, this is sad. Let's read that again. However, our present material orientations, we are so focused on this material world, technology and politics and entertainment has us so wrapped and so bound, or they did. Let's read that again. However, our present material orientation and focus limits our conscious awareness to only what is physically detectable. Let's keep on reading. The progression of human consciousness through evolution helps us to go beyond these outer world limitations to reconnect with the many other dimensions of our life and being. And yes, I'm going to keep on repeating it so it gets through your head on how special and amazing you are. Once again, the progression of human consciousness through The progression of human consciousness through evolution helps us to go beyond these outer world limitations to reconnect. You know what means. Here we go again. Bring it back, DJ, once more. Beyond these outer world limitations to reconnect with the many other dimensions of our life and being. The main challenge and obstacle to this higher awakening and our ability to align with it is our Devic body, D-E-V-I-C. And if you have never heard of Devic, I encourage you to extensively research Devic, D-E-V-I-C. Once again, the main challenge and obstacle to this higher awakening and our ability to align with it is our Devic body consciousness and the elemental order of our body matter. As we come into embodiment, these Devic beings are programmed by our accumulated past life karma and spiritual development to express the appropriate type of consciousness which is optimal for our continued spiritual growth. One of the great teachers, the great teacher, Carl Jung, psychoanalyst, Carl Jung said that there are archetypes within your being that are primordial, that control your thoughts. If you're not aligned with Christ and you're not controlling your own thoughts, you're just thinking it's you going through this, when it's primordial beings that are really minding your life because you're not minding. You're not closely lined up with the Christ within you. So how can you be? You make room for these Devic beings too. So let's keep on going on. And thank you for watching, my beautiful family. As we come into embodiment, these Devic beings are programmed by our accumulated past life karma and spiritual development to express the appropriate type of consciousness which is optimal for our continued spiritual growth. Let's keep reading. The transformation of consciousness within humanity occurs gradually through each new generation as we struggle to adapt to the changes in our orientation and alignment based on a variety of internal and external factors and influences. Yeah, I want to read that again. The transformation now, family, of consciousness within humanity occurs gradually through each new generation as we struggle to adapt to the changes in our orientation and alignment based on a variety of internal things that go within your life and outside factors and influences. Let's keep on reading. These usually surface through conflict and discord as we feel the need to challenge the existing norms, values, and beliefs of previous generations. This is very key to as we are stepping into this AI technology, this transhumanism, different form of eugenics, but let's keep on going. These usually surface through conflict and discord as we feel the need to challenge the existing norms, values, and beliefs of previous generations. Through this process, the people in each generation are able to claim their own emergent identity and find meaning in the world around them. And I want you to listen very closely to those words as we step into this new paradigm shift, as we're stepping into this new age of technology, and to this reintroduction to a metaphysical spiritual gnosis of thyself. Once again, through this process, the people in each generation are able to claim their own emerging identity and find meaning in the world around them. Let's keep on reading. Under the cycles and types of human consciousness can help, let me read this again. Understanding the cycles and types of human consciousness can help us deal with the conflict more objectively. It can also help us develop acceptance and respect for the purpose of both previous and future cycles. From this perspective, we are able to recognize that each type of human consciousness has helped shape the course of human development to date and continue to influence the ways we relate to and experience our lives and spiritual growth. As we examine the challenges and cycles between generations, we find that beyond them are progressively greater creative cycles extending throughout the earth and the cosmos. As we as a people reach higher vibration, higher frequency levels, we are seeing that what we thought we knew really wasn't what we thought we knew. And there's actually more beyond the veil. Once again, as we examine the challenges and cycles between generations, we find that beyond them are progressively greater creative cycles extending throughout the earth and the cosmos. From the time we first embodied in dense physical matter, listen very closely. From the time we first embodied in dense physical matter, we have had a long history and intimate relationship with the cycles and season of nature and with the celestial bodies overhead. Everything about our early life and matter and our subsequent ancient civilizations directly related to and revolved around these apparent natural cycles. Having most of our consciousness on inner planes when we first arrived, I'm only on 13 minutes and we going in, ain't we, family? I thank y'all for watching. I'm just looking at the time. We only on 13 minutes. We just getting to the meat. Listen to your story. Listen to our story, the origins of it. Having most of our consciousness on inner planes. So when it talks about Christ and when we talk about the true Christ, not the one that everybody think they know, the Christ within you, when we talk about Christ, and the reason why he says, tell you to go within, the kingdom of heaven is within, because your real world is within. This outside world is an illusion, but at the same time, you must adapt. You must have that balance with this illusion. So once again, let's keep on going. I want to keep on reading. Having most our consciousness on inner planes when we first arrived, and for considerable millennia thereafter, we were able to see and experience our previous inner realm relationship with the creative energy cycles through these physical manifestations. Wow. I want to read that again. Did you hear that, guys? Having most of our consciousness on inner planes when we first arrived. That lets you know that we're not even from here, but let's keep on going. Having most of our consciousness on inner planes when we first arrived, and for considerable millennia thereafter, we were able to see and experience our previous inner realm relationship. And this is also said in certain native tribes as well. And Rudolf Steiner's mentioned things like this as well, and H.P. Blavatsky and all other greats. That we, back in the spiritual days, like the physical and the spiritual, there wasn't too much of a veil back in the days. So even when we were just arriving in the physical, we still had a visible contact, even though it was getting dimmer and dimmer as the vibrations went lower, to the spiritual world. And then eventually the vibration went so low and we became so dense in these bodies that to a certain degree we kind of lost that connection to the spiritual world. But we never lost total connection, obviously, because we are spirits. So let's keep on going as the sun sets. From this perspective, the constellation star patterns, along with the mythic symbols they seem to reflect to us, reminded us of the actual creative hierarchies. I want to read that whole thing again. Having most of our consciousness on inner planes when we first arrived, and for considerable millennia thereafter, we were able to see and experience our previous inner realm relationship with the creative energy cycles through these physical manifestations. From this perspective, the constellation star patterns, along with the mythic symbols that seem to reflect to us, reminded us of the actual creative hierarchies that had directed and governed our creative descent into matter and evolutionary periods of development to date. We are hearing our origin stories, family. We inherently understood their relevance to our inner and outer lives. In layman's term, there was a time, family, when we were more spiritual than physical, and because of that, we still had a connection to our past lives, and that governed. They don't make these movies like Avatar for nothing. They don't make Guardians of the Galaxy for nothing. I promise you they don't. They don't make Star Wars and Star Trek for nothing. They don't. Because of this, the zodiacal constellations and their astrological signs came to symbolize and define the cyclic phases of our collective evolutionary. I want to read that one more time. Because of this, zodiacal constellations and their astrological signs came to symbolize and define the cycle phases of our collective evolutionary. And I'm going to read this one more time. Because of this, the zodiacal constellations and their astrological signs came to symbolize and define the cyclic phases of our collective evolutionary growth and progression in consciousness. From our vantage point, as the Earth rotates on its axis, the sun, moon, and the planets in our solar system appear to move repeatedly through the fixed star constellations and astrological signs in a cyclic progression along the solar ecliptic or celestial equator. However, our present material orientation has obscured our understanding of these underlying creative cycles, and their phases of expression in our lives. This has evolved through our predominant focus on the form or physical characteristics and forces associated with our Earth and solar systems. We have focused more on the physical and less on the spiritual. We have over time focused more on our physical making and the physical cosmos, and because of that, we have lost touch of the inner understanding of who we are as spiritual beings in this vessel and beyond what we see behind the stars, suns, and the moon. Let's keep on reading. Having lost conscious connection with the unseen spiritual entities, let's stop there because this is what happened to us. Is it time? I don't think it's time to take the glasses off yet. Are y'all with me? I'm going on 20 minutes. This is what happened to us. This is why Christ came back. Listen to this very closely. You wonder why you feel disconnected to this planet, or why you feel like you're just waking up every day winging it. You are more spiritual. You have a purpose on this life. Once you realize your purpose, then you unite with others who have the same purpose. And then you get together and we are changing the way we all think of this world. That's how we change the world. We changed our minds on how we think of each other and how we think of the world. Then we changed our world based off of that. Then we changed this world based off of that. So let's read this again, because this is very important that we hear this. And welcome to the Cosmic Christ University once again, the home of the esoteric and metaphysical knowledge. If you like this, hit the like button, tell a friend to tune in, but we're going back in. This is what happened, family. Having lost consciousness, let me read that again. Having lost conscious connection with the unseen spiritual entities, I guess it's like losing consciousness, right? But I think it's time to take the glasses off now. Having lost conscious connection with the unseen spiritual entities and forces acting behind and through these cycles, let's read that again. Having lost conscious connection with the unseen spiritual entities and forces acting behind and through these cycles. You thinking it's just you that's governing your life. No, there are unseen spiritual forces. Our ancestors knew about this. But guess what? Over time, we got so in love with this material world and this allure that people have for fame, entertainment, riches, the love of it. Having lost conscious connection with the unseen spiritual entities and forces acting behind and through these cycles, the study of astrology can help us recall, identify, and understand them and the ways they affect our lives. From an astrological perspective, the actual time and place of our human birth and emergence onto the physical plane is an especially significant reference point. Astrologers call this our birth or natal chart. How many spiritual family out there? I know we got a lot of spiritual sisters and brothers watching. Y'all know about a natal chart. Y'all know about astrology. The three wise men, how did they know where Christ was? Because they were astrologers. They follow the stars. Where y'all at? All right now. Let's read that again. Having lost conscious connection with the unseen spiritual entities and forces acting behind and through these cycles, the study of astrology can help us recall, identify, and understand them and the ways they affect our lives. From an astrological perspective, the actual time and place of our human birth and emergence on the physical plane is an especially significant reference point. Astrologers call this our birth or natal chart. This operates through a pattern of 12 cycles known as the astrological signs of the zodiac. I know some of y'all spirits ones like, yep, and then some. I'm with y'all, family. The energies behind the relationships between the individual components of the Earth and the solar system within time and space influence us all in ways we could never imagine. Let's read that up one more time, mister. This operates through a pattern of 12 cycles known as the astrological signs of the zodiac. The energies behind the relationships between the individual components of the Earth and the solar system within time and space influence us all in ways we could never imagine. Let's keep on reading. As important as it is to understand these energy cycles and their connection to our individual alignment and growth, they can also help us to relate to our collective development and growth as humanity. Your consciousness opens up within us collectively and in a cyclical way at many levels. In the same manner as with our natal charts, the 12 cycles of the zodiac correspond to how your consciousness expands within humanity as a whole through evolutionary root race and sub-race development periods. You have a lot of people now, more now than ever, that are interested in getting their chart read. Shout out to all my spiritual card readers and my ones who are spiritually in tune. My tarot card readers are the ones who really take this spiritually and really take helping people seriously. So let's read that again. As important as it is to understand these energy cycles and their connection to our individual alignment and growth, they can also help us to relate to our collective development and growth as humanity. Your consciousness opens up within us collectively in a cyclical way at many levels. In the same manner as with our natal charts, the 12 cycles of the zodiac correspond to how your consciousness expands within humanity as a whole through evolutionary root race and sub-race development periods. Using astrological calculations, it apparently takes humanity approximately 2,150 years, 2100 years, 2,150 years to progress in conscious sufficiently. Now, all seriousness, let me read that again. And to my religious people, to my Christian people, to my spiritual people, I want us all to read this again with all seriousness. I'm going to put the glasses back on. That's how serious it is. Using astrological calculations, it apparently takes humanity approximately 2,150 years to progress in consciousness sufficiently, take the glasses back off now, to express a new cycle in dense physical matter. Now, let's relate this to religion. 2,000 years ago, over 2,000 years ago now, was the age of Pisces. The disciples asked Christ, the disciples asked Christ, when can we expect your return? Symbolically, because everything is in parables and a figure of speech in the Bible, Christ said, look for the man with the water pitcher. And I'm paraphrasing. Christ was mentioning the age of Aquarius. Over 2,100 years later, 2,150 years later, we are now in the age of Aquarius. So let me read this again. So not just my spiritual family, because my spiritual family know what time it is, a lot of them, but my religious family. I want you to understand why Minister and people like Minister in this metaphysical realm are giving you this knowledge and why you are seeing so many people that are in tune to the divine light. I'm going to read this again so everybody has an understanding as the sun sets. Listen to this. TikTokers, where you at? Using astrological calculations, it apparently takes humanity approximately 2,150 years to progress in consciousness. I'm going to read that again. Using astrological calculation, it apparently takes humanity approximately 2,150 years to progress in consciousness sufficiently to express a new cycle in dense physical matter. We often refer to this human developmental period as a new astrological age, or epoch, E-P-O-C-H, which corresponds to one sign in the zodiac. Just like I was saying now, we left the age of Pisces, which was the age of Jesus, the age of religion. But now we're entering the age of truth, the age of revealing, the age of technology, which corresponds to one sign in the zodiac, where knowledge of our historic ages help us to understand our physical and social development to date. Knowledge of the astrological ages help us to understand our development in consciousness. Within this orientation, collectively, we are currently in the early transition phases from the Piscean age and consciousness to the Aquarian one. For those who've been rocking with the Minister for quite some time, at least 4 years, you have been hearing me saying that for the last 4 years, that we have left the Pisces age and we are entering the Aquarian age. Christ said this to the disciples symbolically when he was talking about the constellation Aquarius. Once again, within this orientation collectively, we are currently in the early transition phases from the Piscean age and consciousness to the Aquarian one of the next developmental cycle of your consciousness. Listen up. These ages correspond historically to the rise and fall of human civilization, including the birth of new ideas, inventions, and innovations. Let's read that again. These ages correspond historically. I want you to think about it. Let's stop for a minute. Let's stop. There is nothing new under the sun. What goes around comes around. Now, we have heard these terminologies for so long, but listen to what he's saying, or listen to what the author is saying. Listen to what the author is saying. The next developmental cycle of your consciousness. Let's bring that back. Within this orientation collectively, because we are a collective unit, we are currently in the early transition phases. We are currently in the early transition phases from the Pisces age, and consciousness. We're leaving that now. See you bye later, Pisces age and consciousness. Now we're entering into the Aquarian one, the next developmental cycle of your consciousness. These ages correspond historically to the rise and fall of human civilization, including the birth of new ideas, inventions, and innovations across the broad spectrum of our lives. According to most astrological data, the Aryan Age, and we have heard that word before, the Aryan Age began around 2400 BCE. The Piscean Age began around 250 BC, and the Aquarian Age around 1900 CE. Common Era, I do believe. These dates are not accurate in the sense that apparently ages do not just end and another one begins. There seems to be a considerable overlap between the declining age and the new one emerging and anchoring in within us. The ages progress in the opposite course from that of a natal astrology. All right, listen up, family. Because once this is get completely dark, then I'm going to stop it no matter where we're at. But it's not about my face. It's about the message that you're getting from here. So let's keep on going. According to most astrological data, the Aryan Age began around 2400 BCE, before Common Era. The Piscean Age began around 250 BCE, and the Aquarian Age around 1900 CE, Common Era. These dates are not accurate in the sense that apparently ages do not just end and another one begins. There seems to be a considerable overlap between the declining age and the new one emerging and anchoring within us. The ages progress in the opposite course from that of natal astrology. The explanation for this relates to several factors that govern how we view from our vantage point on Earth the sun's apparent motion and position within a particular constellation. In this respect, the age of Aries consciousness preceded that of Pisces. Generally speaking, the age of Aries was a physically focused time when humanity emerged in the world as an intelligent and civilized species through war and the conquering of those people and their geographic areas. We know what people are talking about. Let's keep going on. Considered less worthy of physical power, resources, and wealth, we built great empires and civilizations. During this period, we discovered and then used our inherent mental ingenuity to anchor and forcefully imprint matter with the creative power of the human spirit. I think we need to read that part again because it is telling if you listen very closely. I'm going to read it back. The other factors to consider in understanding we're right here. Generally speaking, the age of Aries was a physically focused time. Listen. Generally speaking, the age of Aries was a physically focused time when humanity emerged in the world as an intelligent and civilized species through war and the conquering of those people and their geographic area. Considered less worthy of physical power, resource, and wealth, we built great empire and civilizations. So it's telling you, off the backs of the people who really started all this, certain humanity built war, created war off the backs of those who they consider less fortunate, less strong, and less intelligent. During this period, we discovered, it says, the author says, during this period, we discovered and then used our inherent mental ingenuity to anchor and forcefully, imprint matter with the creative power of the human spirit. The brutal and harsh realities of this age seem to have crystallized our material orientation and alignment with our human and body consciousness. However, these experiences also help to forge and to galvanize our human will to survive in matter, thereby giving us a secure physical foundation to anchor the next expansion of consciousness. And what I am hearing here, and I'm thinking with some of you who are listening, thank you for listening on here is diamond pressure either makes diamonds or busts pipes. So us as humans and spirits who happen to be humans, there's a lot of consequences to things that happened to us in the past that we would have been better off maybe not going through. But because we went through them, it actually was a great part of our developmental growth. And maybe we would have been less fortunate spiritually and growth-wise if we didn't have it happen to us. So let's keep on reading as the sun continues to set. As the Aries energy cycle waned, the emerging Pisces consciousness began planting the seeds of our emotionally focused development. Water often symbolizes emotion, so it is interesting to note that this was a time of extensive ocean exploration and voyages circumventing the globe. Astrology suggests that the Piscean level of consciousness ushered in creative energy to stimulate a more compassionate, devotional, and idealistic period of human growth. Manifesting first through the birth of religions and monastic orders, and later through the Renaissance and the Age of Reason, we began to aspire towards making our physical presence and matter reflect our higher qualities of spirit. However, as we experienced and grew in a Pisces consciousness, our lower emotional natures personalized and crystallized the form of this energy into matter of our bodies and lives. I want to read that again. However, as we experienced and grew in Piscean consciousness, our lower emotional natures personalized and crystallized the form of this energy into the matter of our bodies and lives. We got more in tune to this material world. The cause to us for this stage of our co-creator education was lower emotional attachment to the matter of our bodies and the national world around us. This is very powerful stuff. I hope you guys are reading as the sun sets. Family, listen to me as the sun sets. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. So much of a physical experience that we have adapted and we have made this our whole world when it's not. We're going to wake up. I seen a clip of Rick and Morty. For people who watch Rick and Morty, I seen a clip of Rick and Morty on TikTok when Morty, I believe, where Morty, Rick put on the little helmet for Morty, and he was actually in a simulation the whole time. I think a lot of us are going to wake up and realize that we're actually in a simulation. And whenever our time is to come here, we're going to realize that, man, we were actually in a game. You know, I say Maya means illusion, but it also means play as well. So, yeah. And I think I'm going to end it here on 40 minutes. I'm going to give us something to think about for the night, going into the morning. I thank you for watching. So I'm going to recap right quick. I'm going to bring it back one more time, and we're going to end this. I thank you for tuning in. As the Aries energy cycle waned, the emerging Piscean consciousness began planting the seeds of our emotionally focused development. Let me put some light on this one. I'm going to put some light on this one. Let me see here. Let me see. Here we go. We're going to end it like this. As the Aries energy cycle waned, the emerging Pisces consciousness began planting the seeds of our emotionally focused development. Water often symbolizes emotion, so it is interesting to note that this was a time of extensive ocean exploration. Yeah. So it is interesting to note that this was a time of extensive ocean exploration and voyages circumventing the globe. Astrology suggests that the Piscean level of consciousness ushered in creative energy to stimulate a more compassionate, devotional, and idealistic period of human growth, manifesting first through the birth of religious and monastic orders, and later through Renaissance and the Age of Reason. We began to aspire towards making our physical presence and matter reflect our higher qualities of spirit. However, as we experienced and grew in Piscean consciousness, our lower emotional natures personalized and crystallized the form of this energy into matter of our bodies and lives. The cost to us for the stage of our co-creator education was lower emotional attachment to the matter of our bodies and the national world. And I'm going to end off here, family. The Aquarian energies apparently began to emerge in the mid-17th century and eased us collectively into a period of expansion and consciousness. They did this by stimulating mental development in order to further our humanitarian focus. We're talking about metaphysics here. We're talking about Christian Science here. We're talking about Sufism here. The Aquarian energies apparently began to emerge in the mid-17th centuries and eased us collectively into a period of expansion in consciousness. They did this by stimulating mental development in order to further our humanitarian focus and to help us detach physically and emotionally from the hardships of our lives and matter. And this expansion began taking hold within us. We discovered new and innovative ways of thinking. This progressed to the invention of machinery, which began replacing the labor-intensive work that had dominated our lives for ages. And that's where we really are at, Nikola Tesla and people like Nikola Tesla. We're not here to use these machines, these AIs, these robots for evil purposes. They are here to ease the labor work for humans. Look at the Anunnaki story. These robots are supposed to be here to ease the labor. We shouldn't be worried about labor. Let the robots do that. We need to live a comfortable life, giving energy to the Christ within us. But that's another story. This progressed to the invention of machinery, which began replacing the labor-intensive work that had dominated our lives for ages. It also led to the exploration of energy vibration through electrical force field and the science of aeronautics. These inventions brought electricity and light to our lives and lifted us out of matter into flight. And thank you guys for your time. If you like that, and please let me know if you want a part 2. Peace and love to the family. Mr. Corbin, I'll catch you next time. Peace.